Hey, what's up guys? Pete with Auto Repair Tips. In this video, I got a 13 Honda Pilot with the battery light on. It's got a 3.5 engine in it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to diagnose and repair that problem. Let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do is hook up my battery tester. And untangle this monstrosity of wires. Seems like no matter how you put it back, you go to take it out, it's always tangled up. Good. All right, we'll hook the red to the positive side of the battery, black to the negative side.
Snap on electrical system diagnostics.
We'll do a full system scan.
System test.
Zeroing out the clamp. First thing you want to do is what I just did. Top post battery. We'll do automotive. It's a regular battery. Cold cranking amps is 650 on this one. It's going to measure the temperature of the battery. There's a sensor right here. So we're going to hold it about 2 inches away. And we'll hit the enter button. System noise detected. What could be detected? I think we left off, it was getting ready to read the temperature. Okay, we're going to hold it 2 inches above.
Good recharge.
All right, it's a good battery, it just needs to be recharged. So looking at the test results, not loaded is charging 12.9, loaded is charging 12.4. So it's definitely not charging, and it says right there that one of the diodes is bad in the alternator. And if you look right here on a Honda, that's what causes that light to come on right there. That is your battery light. So you guessed it, in this video, we're putting an alternator in a 13 Honda Pilot. Let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to do is disconnect the negative side of the battery. I'm going to pop this air intake out of the way. It only takes 2 seconds to do it, and I don't have to work around it. You can probably leave it in the car if you wanted to. But literally it's that easy. And you don't have to worry about it at all now working around something. I probably should have done it before I tested the battery, to be honest with you. Anytime you can, you should always remove the negative side first on any battery, because if you start with the positive side and you touch something that's metal, you could short something out. Always keep that in mind. All right, we're going to remove the reservoir out of the way so we can reach that alternator. It says you need to disconnect the bracket going to the power steering. I guess that's so you can get the alternator out this way. So let's go ahead and do that now. And drop the bolts as they go along. Clumsy hands today. And we'll just push this out of the way over here. Good to go. There is a bracket that holds this wiring right here. It's held on with a tin. Just take the bolt out so you can move that bracket out of the way. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to disconnect the positive side of the alternator. We'll use an extension with a swivel. So on the back side of the alternator, there's a blue connector. There's a tab on it. It faces towards the radiator support. And that's the tab you're going to push on. They're saying you need to disconnect the wiring off the AC compressor. I'm guessing that's to give you enough clearance to get out. So we're going to attempt to do that right now. I guess probably because you can't get it around it, but I don't know. It looks like plenty of room to do it. But we'll see how easy it is real quick to get that one off the compressor. Because you can't really see it, so you gotta kind of do it by feel. Actually, that wasn't too bad. The same thing, that tab on the compressor. Right here. It's facing this way towards the radiator, so you just push in and pull it out. And that does give you a lot more room like that, so it's not a big deal. Next, let's go ahead and we got to remove the service. We got to remove the serpentine belt. I think I've had me some tequila during lunchtime. It sounds like it, don't it? All right, with the serpentine belt removed, there should be just 2 bolts holding this alternator on. Let's see where they are. One should be right there, and the other one is going to be right down inside here. Right here. That one feels like about a 12. This one here feels like about a 13. I'm going to try and get down there with my long neck electric ratchet and see can I get on it. Where are you at? Damn contact fell out today, so I'm having to use glasses that don't really half-ass work. So after about 15 minutes of goofing around with it, that bolt was frozen in there. I haven't seen one frozen like that in a long time. And I ended up going with, believe it or not, I got a better bite with a shallow socket and a real small extension. For some reason my deep well was just kind of, I don't know, wasn't fitting it right or something. I don't know, maybe it's old. But tell you why I was getting scared. Let me show you why I was getting scared. That's why. That sucker was starting to round off. But we got her. The top bolt on the alternator is a 12. I'm trying to do it with my long ratchet and just a deep well socket again. Hopefully this one is not as bad as the last one was. Yay. There's one more bracket above the alternator I'm taking out. It just kind of in the way a little bit because it's supposed to just slide right up, but it's kind of being a little bit of a pain. But this is the bracket I'm talking about. This bracket, it bolts to the side of the frame like this, and the alternator actually bolts to that, and then the wiring harness bolts to the top of that. I'm hoping that's kind of what was messing with me a little bit. I think it was, because it should just pop right up. You just kind of gotta feed it up through the hole just like this. I tell you, ever since my operation, some weird angles still mess with me. The other day I was at softball practice and I was throwing a ball for the first time, and that was weird. I told my wife, I said, the muscle felt really weird. It's just one I haven't used in a while, you know? All right, we're just about there. One alternator. All right, let me go and get some parts ordered. We'll get them here. I'll show you the part number and we'll get it back in the car. All right, we got your alternator here. It's from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Part number is 1164608. The first time they sent one, you got to be careful. This whole upper part here was missing. So I sent it back and got another one. It's definitely aftermarket. I think it was made by the cheapest guy in China, but that's beside the point. They didn't want to go with a new one because it was a little bit too pricey. But I always give the customer the option, new or aftermarket. All right, let's get it on the car. Well, basically, it's reverse procedure to get this thing back in the hole here. But you know how that goes, right? Try to give you guys the best view I can, but sometimes that's just impossible. We are almost there. So close, so close. All right, make sure when you're going back with it, the serpentine belt stays back out of the way because it was kind of screwing with me a little bit. Get it out of the way. I must say line the bottom up first. It's probably the easiest thing to do. All right, getting this alternator on the back bracket area is kind of fighting me just a little bit. So try to, if you do it at home like this, just be careful. I'll try to get a little love tap on it. See, can I get it in? So I pulled it back out because this right here fits in between a bracket and it's already all the way flush as far as it can go, so it's not seating in there correctly. Being an aftermarket, this could be just a little bit too thick, so I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna shave it just a little bit off. And you still have plenty of room when the bolt goes through, that'll expand out because the bolt's gonna, there's a sleeve here and that bolt's gonna push this back out. And I still have plenty of room in here. As a matter of fact, I might take just a little bit more off. All right, let's see what that does. I think we are in like Flynn on this one. And it's still nice and snug. So I'm 90% sure. Let's rephrase that. I'm 100% sure that the aftermarket slide on the bottom of that alternator was way too fat. Because it's still got plenty of thickness on it. Okay, don't tighten it up all the way because you still got to put the upper bracket on there. Same thing with that bracket. It's only got one bolt and you don't want to make sure it's in the right spot, so don't tighten it up all the way when you put it back in. I'm just snugging it by hand. And don't confuse the bolts. The one for the alternator is going to have a sleeve on it, just like that. When you're going back with it, don't trust your electric ratchet. Make sure you put a manual ratchet on it and just make sure it's nice and tight. Don't overdo it because you don't want to strip the threads. Especially if you're using a long handle ratchet, you know, you'll have more leverage, so you have a tendency to put more torque on it. Being as I had issues with the bottom before, I'm going to go down there with my ratchet now, rather than the electric one, and start plugging away at it. We really got lucky on this bolt here that we did not jack it up. That's your main one, so make sure that gets good and tight. All right, last thing to do is get the belt on there. Make sure you got it lined up before you start, because sometimes it'll get way out of whack like mine did. After we get the belt on there, we'll get the electrical done, start this puppy up. All right, after you get the belt on, make sure you take a second, look at all the pulleys, make sure everything's on there all the way so you don't have any issues. We are on the crank, I'm on the power. One way around both of them. All right, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get the electrical hooked back up now. We're gonna start with the AC compressor. They don't give you much room, that's for daggone sure. So I'm trying to show you guys something. There's these rubber grommets. One is right here. Like two something, over 200. There's a grommet right here and one right here. Make sure that these grommets get put back on. They're there for a reason. Keep dirt and dust out of the connector. When you bolt this one on here, of course this one here is going to flat back over, but just make sure that definitely happens. Alright, the power nut on there. Power nut. When you're tightening up the nut to the battery wire on the alternator, use a hand ratchet like this. Don't put electric ratchet on it or air ratchet or anything like that, because that thing will snap off and you'll be doing the whole damn job again. Because all you're going to do is just snug it down. And definitely don't over torque it. Next thing we're going to do is mount up the wiring harness back to where its mounting bracket is. And that is a 10mm. Same thing, just use a hand ratchet on that. Next thing we can do is go ahead and mount up the bracket here. And if you remember, this is one of the ones that I dropped, so I'm going to go back there and get another bolt for it. Because I looked for it and it is history. Alright, let's go ahead and get the reservoir back on. Alright, now that it's back together, let's go ahead and get it started up and let's make sure that battery light's off. Alright, moment of truth. Here we go. No battery light. Good to go. We're still going to do a test on it so I can print it out for the customer. I did print the other one out and we can compare the two and they can see exactly on paper what the difference was. So if you remember before, they were charging $12.4 and like $12.9. Now we're $13.97 and $13.92. We're good to go.